And today I want to talk about how we can't limit ourselves in terms of what we can and can't do. And we also can't allow other people to limit us either by telling us we can't do certain things. So for example, I want to talk about the sewing machine and how I've been having some limiting beliefs in terms of that. So in 2020, some background info about me is that I started having this bad noise sensitivity, and I've still been having those problems to this day. But so 2 years ago, my mom had got me a sewing machine. And if you don't know, sewing machines can be loud and noisy when you use them, right? And so it kind of was like a barrier, and I didn't want to use my sewing machine because of the noises. And so I did attempt to use it 2 years ago. Like I went to a sewing class and I learned how to make a little tissue holder, like the pocket travel tissues, like a holder for that. And then I tried to make a little bag with my mom, and it wasn't working out, and we couldn't really do it. I was trying to make, the handle part, and it wasn't working. And then I just ended up giving up. And then I still wanted to sew. I mean, I bought $200 worth of fabric, and then I've never sewed again because I was like limiting myself, thinking I can't do it because of the noises. So fast forward to 2 weeks ago, I started learning how to hem pants, and I was just hand sewing them because I'm 5'2", so most of the pants are really long on me, and I was just looking like a fool wearing like really long pants. So I learned how to hand hem them, right? And so that's obviously noise free. But then I got a job, the job I was talking about in my other video. So it's a marketing/community outreach coordinator. So I have to wear a nice business outfit, business pants. And so I did hem one of them just by hand sewing it. It just doesn't look as good. So I was like, all right, it's time to overcome my fear of the sewing machine, because if I want to look professional, I need to hem these pants with my sewing machine and not doing it by hand. Another limiting belief that came up for me was like, I'm not going to be able to do this by myself. I need my mom's help. Like I had used her help in the past to set up the machine and everything, because I was also having this limiting belief of I'm not good at following directions. I'm not good at reading directions. And I think part of that is because of how I'm dyslexic and I have ADHD, and within those labels, they say that you have trouble following directions. And that obviously can be true in a sense, but you can't just take that as the truth and apply it to every single thing in life and think that it's impossible for you to follow directions and you can never follow directions. I think you have to look at the type of learner that you are, and I realize that I'm a very visual learner. So I'm going to have difficulty following directions on the written pamphlet that they have, or just someone telling me what to do with their words, but I'm able to follow the directions if I can see a video of someone doing it, and I'm more so looking at what they're doing, and I'm not really paying attention to what they're saying. Like I was talking to my boss the other day, and he was asking me how I get to work. He's like, do you go on this street? Do you turn on this street? And I'm like, I don't know. I just follow the picture on the maps. I don't look at really what the maps is saying. I'm following the picture, right? And so I did ask my mom though, will you help me with the sewing machine? And she's like, I'm busy right now. I can't do it, because my mom's very busy now because she has a job and she's working on her business. So she doesn't really have time to be helping me with the sewing machine. So I was kind of reluctant to start it myself. I'm like, okay. And then for a few days I was asking her, can you help me with the sewing machine? Are you going to help me? And she kept saying, I can't do it right now. So then I had to think to myself, it's either I'm not going to learn how to use my sewing machine, I'm never going to use it, because I'm obviously going to be waiting forever for my mom to be able to help me. So I was like, okay, I can do this by myself. I prayed to the Lord. I said, Lord, give me the strength to, figure out how to use this sewing machine, right? So I watched some YouTube videos on how to set up the machine, and, I ended up being able to figure it out. So I figured it out and I was sewing, but then my bobbin, if you don't sew, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. But there's this certain parts of the machine, sometimes the machine would get jammed and it wouldn't work. And so then I had to troubleshoot why this was happening. I was watching other videos about it. I started freaking out because first I was having fun sewing, it was working. Then the machine got jammed, and then I was like, I hate sewing. And then my older brother's like, then just don't do it. But it's I don't want to just give up. I want to do it. I'm just struggling with this. So what I want to say is, sewing itself is pretty easy, I guess. There's the motions of it. Setting up this machine is where you're going to have is a bit more challenging and where you could be like, I want to give up because of the setup of the machine. But once you figure it out, it's good and you're good to go. So I was freaking out, I was like, Mom, you need to help me. So maybe like an hour later, I ended up figuring it out, and I rewind it, my bobbin, whatever. And so then I ended up figuring it out, and then my mom ended up being like, okay, I can help you now. But at that point, I already figured out what to do. So I didn't even need her help, right? Okay, so now I figured out how to use the sewing machine. Now what comes into play is people trying to put limiting beliefs onto you, right? Before I even started hemming pants, like in the past, I would just try on pants in the store, and I'd show my mom, and I was like, this would be good, like if I just would need to hem them, and she'd be like, it's hard to hem pants, like you might not be able to do that, right? If someone has never done something before, of course they're going to tell you that it's hard and that you can't do it, because they themselves haven't done it, because they just think that they can't do it. So when people put limiting beliefs onto you, that's just because they themselves can't do it and they don't have the courage to try and do it, right? So you don't need to think that you can't do it. Yeah, maybe this person can't do it, but what does that have to do with me, right? And so I obviously was able to hem the pants. Another limiting belief that happened was I wanted to hem my shirts. I don't know if it's called that when you make shorts shorter, because like I said, I'm 5'2", so they're pretty long on me, and I don't like to tuck in the shirts because then I think it just looks bad, and it's just like a lot of fabric that you have to tuck in. It was just really annoying to do that. So then I wanted to hem shirts, and then even my mom was like, you're not gonna be able to do that. And then I did it. I bought this really long shirt at the thrift store so by the way, guys, I made a whole different video a while back how God told me to stop buying clothes, and obviously the devil got me and I bought a whole new wardrobe for work. I feel like I needed this stuff though, but my whole work wardrobe was thrifted. I thrifted everything. I may have overconsumed a little bit, so that's bad, but now I'm done. I'm taking a break from shopping. But so, let me show you guys this shirt that I have on, because I hemmed this shirt, and to be honest, this shirt's not from the thrift store, but I got this like 4 months ago when I was on my modesty journey. This shirt was like down to like here. I'll show you a picture of it before, and then I just hemmed the bottom, so I made it shorter. So I did that with all of my work shirts and other shirts that I have had in the past. But so I got this really long shirt from the thrift store because it had a nice pattern. And I didn't realize it was a maternity shirt, so then I felt a little bad, like taking away a maternity shirt from somebody. But it wasn't really marked as that. It was marked as like a size small or whatever. But I realized it because I saw it then on the tag when I got home. But no wonder it was so long. So I hemmed it, guys. I'll show you what it looks like, and now it looks really nice. I did make a slight mistake on it. But any of the mistakes that I've made, I realized I can't be so hard on myself and I can't be so perfectionist. And that, I know that I made these mistakes. Obviously, I notice them because when I look at myself, I can look at the mistake that I made because I know that it's there. But if you don't know that I made this certain mistake and you're just looking at the shirt, you're probably not going to notice that. So if you start sewing or doing something else and you make a mistake, you just have to realize that you're going to notice these mistakes because you know that they're there and you know that you did them. But anyone else that's looking at your work isn't going to notice these mistakes unless you point them out to them. Like, you ever say something to someone, oh, does this shirt look like it has a stain on it or whatever? And they're like, oh, I didn't even notice until you said something. So a lot of times, whatever it is, people aren't going to notice until you point it out, right? But so let me just say, the reason I was able to overcome my fear of the sewing machine is because when I'm actually doing the sewing part, I have in my AirPods and I'm listening to music. And so when I'm pinning the clothes, I take my headphones off and it's just silence. But then when I do the sewing, since obviously it's loud, then I just put in my music. And so I kind of went a little bit overboard by sewing so much, but that's because I had a lot of pants to hem. I ended up hemming a pair of my dad's pants, and then a bunch of shirts to do. And sometimes it's trial and error. I made a few mistakes, try to see if I can fix my mistakes or turn them into not mistakes. And so I've been sewing for 3 or 4 hours a day. Basically, I've been sewing a lot for these past 2 weeks. So I just have a few more, maybe 3 more shirts I need to do. And I maybe could make another pair of my shorts, pants tighter in. But so another limiting belief that I had was that I wasn't going to be able to make my pants tighter. Yes, I could shorten them, but could I make them tighter? You know, and so I'll show you guys what happened, but these one pants were really big on me. And so I tried to make them tighter, and I just pinned it, so I didn't sew it yet. So I would have been able to do it, but the problem was, since the pants, like, they were kind of down low, they weren't at the crotch area, then when I sat down, it kind of looked like I had male parts down there. And I didn't want to look like that. Obviously, it would have looked like a fool. So I'm just going to have to get rid of those pants. And since I already hemmed the pants, if I pull them up, then it's going to be like capris, and I don't like that. If I really wanted to fix my mistake, what I could do is put a different fabric on the bottom. And that might look nice, but I don't know if I really have another fabric to do that, and I don't really want to buy something else to work within that. You just can't have limiting beliefs about yourself. You got to ask yourself, how can I make this work? Like I said, the sewing machine was loud. How can I make this work for me? I put on my music so that I could listen to my music instead. And something like the sewing machine, that should, if it's obviously you have noise sensitivity, that could be something that, it's not like all or nothing. You don't have to be like, oh, I can never use the sewing machine because it's so noisy. You could maybe use it once a week. Obviously, I went overboard and I kind of burnt myself out a little bit because I was sewing every day for multiple hours. So I might take a little bit of, well, obviously, I only have a few more things left to sew anyways. But now, since I've overcome my fear of the sewing machine, I could take it to the next level and try to make my own clothes from scratch with the fabric that I bought 2 years ago and never used, or I could make a bag, or who even knows what I could make, right? But once you make one thing, you see that you're capable. You know, I started off with hemming the pants. I see that it ended up being easy, you know, and so then I'm like, oh, let me hem my shirts, and it ended up being easy. One of my shirts I ended up bringing in to make it tighter. That was a little bit harder to do, but you know, I still did it. It's not perfect, but you really can't tell that it's not perfect unless I point it out to you. So don't have these limiting beliefs about yourself, and don't think that you can't learn how to do something. You just got to learn it in the way that's right for you. You know, sometimes you'll watch a YouTube video and the person that's making the video isn't teaching you in the way that you need to be taught. So don't blame yourself, blame the teacher, right? So just find a different YouTube video that works for you. And that's what I had to do. You know, I watched a couple different videos about the sewing machine because some of them weren't good for me. So don't, sorry, my dog here. You guys want to see my dog? This is my little star. Hey, little star, I love you. I love my baby boy. I think he's bored. This is the first time making the YouTube video with him with me outside. So yeah, don't limit yourself and don't let other people limit you. Get those limiting beliefs out of your head. You can do it. Pray for the strength from the Lord. I think that's what it was that helped me be able to overcome my fear and to be able to believe in myself. You know, pray for the strength every day. It's not a one and done. You got to do this every day, even multiple times a day, until you feel like you have the strength for it. So thank you so much for listening. Please like and comment if this was helpful for you. And let me know any other videos you want to hear me making. Thanks. Bye.